right, welcome back. It's time for us to have a conversation this morning on our personality segment. And today we're going to be talking to somebody who is no stranger to Citi TV. But I'm excited for us to have this conversation with her because I remember the first time I saw her on TV here. She was having a conversation with Bernard Avley, and very riveting conversation they had. Now, she's the managing partner of 565 Limited, and I'm just curious for her to explain to us 565. Yeah, what that's about. She's Maame Ekua Gaisey. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So first of all, let's just get that one out of the way. What's 565?
So 565 is really just numbers.
Okay.
So we had registered our business, and we had been cleared at the Registrar General's. Somehow, the boss came back and said, sorry, you cannot have that name.
Oh.
So off the cuff, my business partner calls and says, "Ma'am, we cannot have that name." I said, "I'm not going to go through this process again. Let's just give it numbers."
Yeah.
So okay, what numbers? I said 565, and we went. So really doesn't mean anything.
Wow, I
but
see.
it has created such a buzz and curiosity around the brand, and I think what's God's doing.
No, I love it.
Right.
I mean, just think about 565. Yeah. So, before you got into this space, and maybe you can share a little bit about what does 565 do?
Right. So we exist to do 4 or 5 main things, right? First of all, we do culture transformation work. What that means is that we partner with organizations or businesses or teams to look at the values they have in the organizations. We believe culture is the new capital for every business. So we drive that as though we're driving the budget.
Okay.
You know, because scientifically we're able to support businesses to change their bottom line and have higher return on investment using their culture.
Okay.
Then we do things around leadership development, organizational development, strategy, and team building.
Okay.
So that's what we do.
But when you say a business culture, what does a business culture really mean?
Great.
The culture of a business, what does it really mean?
So culture basically is the way we do things around here.
Okay.
So you walk into Citi TV, even in the production team, there's a subculture, which might be different from that which exists
At
in
another
other.
place.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's just the way we do things around here. Now, how we do things around here has a direct impact on your bottom line. That's what we see. So the business culture is what is driving. You have your strategy, you have your mission. The how you're going to deliver this is hinged on a certain culture. And if it's positive, you reap the benefits. If it's negative, you see
also
all your
lose out.
talents leaving you. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. Let's go all the way back to the very beginning of Maame Ekua Gaisey.
Yeah.
Where, before all of this came to reality, where were you born? Where did you grow up? And all?
Yeah. Right. So I was born in Sekondi, Takrady.
Oh.
So yes, I grew
Sekondi.
up Sekondi,
Thank you.
SS Street.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
basically where I was
Oh,
born. Yes.
look at you.
With my swag.
Position that for me, because I know Bacano and I know Bakechi.
Good.
So position where you were
So
born
from
for me.
Bacano, you're walking towards the market.
Okay.
SS Street is around the post office, which is just about 300 meters away from the market.
yes,
And there's a popular place in our home. We had this popular spot called Sankwana.
Okay.
And up of it is the Brickwaters Pharmacy, which is where everybody went to buy medication
Okay.
when growing up.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So that's where I was born.
Okay. So and I presume you went to you started your schooling.
Yes, so I went to Westridge Primary School,
Okay.
which was located behind the Sekondi Metropolitan Assembly.
Okay.
From there, our JSS was Old Hospital, which is close to the Jendu Park in
Okay.
Sekondi.
Okay.
Then I proceeded to Fijai Secondary School, fills up people. In fact, this year is our silver jubilee after leaving school. So in November, towards the early part of December, we're going back to celebrate 25 years
Wow,
after
leaving
leaving secondary school.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then you proceeded to uni where?
Yes, so I came to University of Ghana,
Okay.
GIJ campus, where
Okay.
they had started the communication the School of Communication Studies undergrad.
Okay.
So we're the third batch. So I did that. Most of our lectures were at GIJ. We did some at the university. Graduated from there with first honors.
Okay, well done.
Then I went on to do work. I went into the workplace. I worked with Accra Brewery Limited, doing different things: corporate communication, learning and development, core HR. Then I went on to do my EMBA at the University of Ghana Business School in project management.
Now, some fond memories from Fijai.
Oh, Fijai, so
Because you know, it's interesting.
Oh, that's you.
yes,
Okay.
that's our homos night
Oh,
right
okay,
there.
okay.
That's my very best friend. This is Charles Quay, our very first headmaster.
Oh,
if you didn't have a picture in front of Charles Quay, you didn't go to Fijai, really. This is us pretending to be studying and taking photos, really.
So
Yeah.
you know how it is, right, in Ghana, compared to other countries. A lot of other countries, especially you look at Europe and you look at the US, many people are very bonded to their final place of school.
Yes.
That's in the uni. But for us in Ghana,
It's
our
the-
bonding
yeah.
is at
Yeah.
secondary
It's
school.
secondary school.
Yeah.
What do you think accounts for that, though?
I think it's one of the stages of your life where a lot of things rivet. So a lot of my, a lot of my real true relationships in terms of friendship, sisterhood, brothers are actually from secondary school. It's where you discover a lot of yourself. Of course, people do that later on, but a lot of life's defining moments also happen there. When you come to our universities are almost like just come study, get the grade, and move
go.
on.
Yeah.
By that time, most of the people have formed their relationships and their friendships already. So for me, and you're right. So I really am very curious about the decisions that go into the choice of secondary school, because it actually gives you your social capital,
Right.
basically.
Right.
Yeah. So, and for us at Fijai, you know, our headmaster of blessed memories, Mr. Blankson, he used to be such a strict disciplinarian. And if anybody went against the school rules, you come to the assembly hall, the assembly in the morning, and say your name, say Maame Ekua, and you mount, and he says what you've done, and he says Chapar. It means that the school bus is taking you home, either on a long suspension or on dismissal. Yeah, so Fijai holds a lot of memories for me. We used to have what we called Gaisey. When people are Gaisey, it's a mixed school.
Okay.
It means that you and some boy are under some tree.
I see.
They're talking. and as a mixed school, sandwiched between Archbishop Porter's, which is a girls' school, and St. John's, who are going to be 70.
Yes.
It was a very interesting environment for us. We had GSTS as well.
Okay.
So the whole Takrady space when it comes to secondary education was very vibrant. Yes.
Okay. Now, moving into the world of work, what was the beginning for you? Did you do corporate first before you started doing your own business? How did that work?
Yes, I did corporate first, based on an advice from a family friend, almost like an uncle, and I am so happy I listened to him. So after first degree, you just want to do stuff.
Yeah.
And my first point of call was go do your MPhil and go straight into PhD. Then he said, why don't you try work first? So you go into graduate studies a lot more informed. And I listened. So I started my national service with the National Media Commission.
Okay.
We had a research center, and I was the head of the place. We did a lot of media monitoring, mainly, did a couple of articles, reviewed a lot of the current policies in the Media Commission that you know of. Then I got called into, one day my classmates from the university is DJ Black.
Okay.
Mr. Tuntum. So he calls me up, I had a bad migraine, and calls me up and says, somebody I know is looking for somebody for corporate affairs, and nobody comes to mind but you. So we arranged, and the funny bit, the first time I was called to go to Accra Brewery Limited, I left at Taifa, so I literally went to Guinness, which is ABC.
Okay.
Then I got called again to move over. So I did corporate communication for less than a year, moved into learning and development, and there was no HR manager, so got the job to do the HR manager role. We took over Voltic, so I had to go and set up our structures there.
Okay.
So did that. So in the space of 5 to 6 years, I held about 5 roles. So I was doing a tenure of a maximum of a year. So the last HRBP role that I held, which I did 2 years, and it means that I was really here.
Right.
So that was when I moved on.
So how would you say, working in corporate has actually shaped your life, to have your own thing or to run your own thing? How has it shaped you?
It has given me a sense of direction. When I'm talking to a client, I understand their language because I've sat on the other side before. I hear their concerns. I understand the challenges they're going through. I know what they're looking for. So I'm not coming from this theoretical background of just consultant. No, I've done a lot of multinational work before. I've done social work before. I've been in the media for a long time. So I really do understand and hear them when they speak. And I have been in very positive cultural environment and not so great ones. So when I'm talking to someone, I'm not coming from a place where I'm just looking in the books and telling you. I know the impact of negative culture on your business. So that's interesting.
So you do a lot of coaching.
Yes.
I want you to comment on this. So we had a conversation earlier about corruption, and corruption being, everywhere in the society. But all the different agencies, you look at Transparency International, you look at the different organizations, you look at the UN Convention on Corruption and all of that, all of them define corruption and limit it to people in positions of influence and positions of power. Okay. We had phone-ins, people who were calling in and giving their thoughts and so on. And quite a number of people, maybe 50% of the callers, felt like we are all corrupt, and so let's not blame only the politicians. However, where I sit, I feel as if the decision makers are the key influencers. They decide the direction the nation is going to go in, not the masses, right? So if we make it painful to be corrupt, then the corruption reduces. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
So what are your thoughts on the whole?
Right. So for me, as an alumnus of the Les Aspens School of Good Governance, we were taught exactly around the lines that you're thinking, that corruption actually emanates from the people with power. Now, when you delve in deeper, you realize that it has its roots in the sociocultural practices of the people. You cannot separate corruption from the way the people, the individuals live in that society. You see, I'll give you a very simple example. Our culture makes it a bit awkward to go before somebody with authority empty-handed. You could not go to your fiancé's father or mother empty-handed. You couldn't go to the chief empty-handed, So those things are actually part of our culture.
Even though you are seeking a service of a sort, you can't go empty-handed culturally.
So when that now becomes the order of the day to get what is due you, there's a very fine line, if you ask me. But I agree with you. You're bringing me a package to influence my decision. I have the power to say no to it. You could bring it and bring it. My threshold depends on my values as a person. If I do insist, and we've been in this country where people in highest authorities have been commended because people have gone with the most enticing packages and they refused. So it really bounces back to the conversation of the kind of values we are bringing our children up and what we demand. I don't want to queue, so I want to pay and get my things done. You don't want to queue, so we all end up making that which is not normal look normal. So she who does not want to pay now has to pay the price of not getting the right service just because you and I are willing to pay.
And I find it interesting because I also realize that there's institutions like, for example, the Passport Office, the DVLA, who have created platforms that ostensibly should make it easier for everyone to access the system. But somehow it's like the cultural thing you're talking about. It's like we still feel as if we have to pay something.
Because also I think when you look at some of these institutions, there are a lot of middlemen.
Yes, but you see, even the online facility then removes the middleman, but the culture still says,
okay, even if I apply online, I still have to call somebody.
But there's also a level of inefficiency that drives this, okay? So if I go online and I'm assured that for a very long time, the passport online system, for instance, it didn't work.
Struggling. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And I need to renew my passport to travel. I got to talk to somebody. So efficiencies actually reduce the probability of people thinking they need to pay to get services.
What inspires you?
Life.
Okay.
Yes.
So life is broad.
Yes. Life and its fulfillment. I'm a firm believer that everybody's been brought here for a purpose. And the more of your purpose you live, the better you are to yourself, to everybody else that is connected with you. So for me, if I look at the fact that I was brought here for a huge purpose, and only I have to do that, I just have to wake up. I don't even bother to move.
Right.
You know? I'm really inspired by the fact that you're different, she's different, I'm different, and I really am looking to do life the way I was brought here to. Yeah.
Fantastic.
But right now, let's talk about family. Like, how do you manage family with all this going on around you? You know, people
it's always
coming
a big
to
one,
you,
isn't it?
you're consulting, you're telling us how to live life and all that. So how do you manage life? I mean, like family with all this together?
I'd be a lie if I sat here and said it's very easy or smooth. No, I grew up with a mother who believed in a woman or a lady keeping her home, especially the places that people do not see. So it does take a toll on me because I'm always fixated about making sure this place is very clean, as opposed to spending that time with my husband. And remember, I am out most of the time, so it's not easy. What I do is I listen. My husband is always on me. Madam, if you cannot do it, let it rest a bit. I'm not the best of that. I don't rest that much. But what I also do is to get help. I play by my strengths as well.
Okay.
So I focus a lot of my energies and activities around the things that are more in my domain. Then I get help with the things that are not exactly my terrain. Yes.
So how important is help to you? Because a lot of people don't get help, but I like the fact that you said that, you know, you seek help when you need it. So how important is help? Because sometimes we find ourselves wanting to do everything by ourselves. So how important is help?
It is for me, except that as I sit here, I'm still struggling with getting help at home domestically. So like I said, I try to find the help in places where I think it would give me the best value. But it is very important. Look, I call my sisters up to help with market. I call people up to help with other work that I cannot do. I call people up, it's vacation, my son is on vacation and I have to be here in the morning. I call somebody up to see if they can hold him so that I will be able to come here. So sometimes you've got to string everything together. But yes, that is Nyansa Papa Gaisey. Yes, our son and my husband, Abeku. Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, as you speak, so many different questions come to mind. What do you believe is the way people should view life? Do you pursue your passions and money will follow? Or do you deal with the bread and butter issues and just sort out the money side and later deal with your passion?
Good, beautiful question, which is what I'm always running, the sessions I do. It's a combination.
Okay.
There's no thoroughbred of any of these theories, one. Two, it also depends on what's important for you.
Okay.
So it takes me back to the work I do, which is the culture work. And the culture work dictates values are the biggest drivers. So as I sit here, if you ask me right now to choose between a very good paying corporate job and pursuing what I'm doing now, I'll choose the latter.
Okay.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I have so much money. It doesn't mean that I'm very rich. But I've got to a place where I believe in doing this to thrive so that I can be a better asset to the people that are connected to me. It didn't start off like this. I needed to sort out how to make sure that I can have a good pair of shoes, look good, you know. So when you set off in life, and you have, say, a habit or a hobby, that you think can turn into a commercial adventure, my question is, are you comfortable to live life on a daily basis pursuing that for now, or you need to apply wisdom, get a job, see to the growth of this on the side until this is good enough to be able to sustain you?
Right.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so I guess maybe the other question that I would want to ask you is, looking at how life has been, what would you say is the one thing that at the end of the day you look back and you're like, you know what, it's been a good day?
I look back to every experience, and I'll tell you what. For instance, I went to Fijai Secondary School to read science, right?
Yeah.
And as the head girl of the school, there was a lot of pressure academically. I mean, unspoken, but there's expectation.
Yeah.
And you were a good student before you could get that. And I finished school, and my grades in my electives were not exciting enough. And I just wanted to do either medicine or pharmacy.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand all those biological science
Yeah.
and biochemistry and
Yeah.
things. I had no clue what they meant. And I sat down and listened backwards to people like my English teacher who would come to class and say, this thing, it doesn't belong here.
Okay.
And connecting all the things that I loved to do. I'd lay in bed and read my math notes, which is like a no-no for
you
any
don't read
science
maths.
students. So I started to find myself through that, and took the bull's horn and said, you know what, it's been great. And I tell you, my life is different because I read science. But you needed to chart the path that you were born to.
Yeah.
So I went on to do private arts, which is what I got in my first choice and refused. So I went to study for 6 months. Took French literature and economics, wrote another SSC, completely different subjects, to come to the university. And that for me shifted my life for life.
Right,
Yes.
right. Okay, so before we let you go, I just want to ask, there are people watching you right now and might be inspired by what you do and even everything that you have said. So, as they're watching you, I just want you to tell us, how would you advise someone to set and focus on their priorities?
Right. First and foremost, know what is important to you. So if you set out your values, what is most important to you, that is going to drive you into finding your purpose. Once you found your purpose, you want to get realistic. You cannot become this without putting in the work. It doesn't happen overnight. It needs to happen because you are deliberately and intentionally putting in the work. Once you've set your purpose, you set yourself some goals, you want to get help. Please find you a coach, a mentor, a sponsor, whatever it is, depending on the space you're in. Find somebody who's done this before. Don't tread the path alone, all tired, all frustrated. Just get help. And I'm sure that you will get there. But it doesn't happen overnight, I bet.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, that's a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Thank you very much. Thank you for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you so
It's
much
been
for
a great
having me.
conversation.
Thank you.
All right.